Hello, a safety warning tonight after a man was just inches away from being mown down by an express train.
The man was filming a steam train heading out of the station. What he didn't know was that an express train travelling at 70 miles an hour was coming in the opposite direction. It missed him by inches. The whole incident at Thurston Station in Suffolk was captured on film.
All eyes and cameras focus on the steam locomotive Oliver Cromwell last Saturday as she thunders through Thurston Station. But look at the man in the grey jacket with the camcorder, oblivious to the train approaching behind. A woman calls out. Too late. Just inches from certain death, the man stumbles from the force of the train. Look at it again. At 75 miles an hour, the driver has no hope of stopping. A remote rural station, Thurston isn't staffed. To get to platform 1, you need to cross over the railway line over here. Now, the man would have been standing trackside just over there, next to the green light, which would, of course, have been red at the time. Network Rail say he simply shouldn't have been there. Police say they're keen to talk to the man. Had he been hit, others could have been killed or injured.
There was a number of people there taking photographs of the steam train, which was going in another direction, who would have been in the firing line, basically, for any body parts that would have been propelled forward.
A railway enthusiast, John Stark, also witnessed Oliver Cromwell steam through the region.
The first thoughts are with the driver of the diesel unit, who's obviously got great concerns about this man standing very close to the edge of the tracks. And it's disappointing that one man's thoughtlessness then sort of tarnishes the reputations of all the people who are watching safely.
5 years ago, 2 teenage girls were killed by a high-speed train on a level crossing at Elsenham in Essex. They too had seen one train pass through, but had forgotten to look the other way. Network Rail say they're always improving trackside safety, but some responsibility has to lie with individuals. The man who escaped death will also escape prosecution. Police are confident these pictures should be warning enough. Alex Dunlop, BBC Look East, Suffolk.
Well, let's move on to politics now, and 3 more MPs from this region have been given jobs in the new government, and we're expecting more over the weekend. Andrew Sinclair is here. So what have we got, Andrew?
Well, the new appointments are the Chelmsford MP Simon Burns, who becomes a junior health minister. He had a similar job in John Major's cabinet 14 years ago. And then there's the Cambridgeshire MP James Pace, who becomes minister in DEFRA. No real surprise there. He's been the Tory spokesman on agriculture for ages. Meanwhile, his neighbour Jonathan Ginogly in Huntingdon becomes a justice minister. Now, they join Grant Shapps, who was yesterday announced as a housing minister, and Eric Pickles and Andrew Lansley, who've got jobs in the cabinet. And I know of at least 3 other MPs who've been given jobs in the government, but they're asking me not to say anything yet until it's officially announced. So as we've been predicting, this proves that this region is going to be well represented in the new government.
And this is an important weekend for the Liberal Democrats.
Yeah, very important. On Sunday, 2,500 members of the Liberal Democrats will gather in Birmingham to formally approve the coalition. Now, it will go ahead. It's got to. They're already in the government. But it's very interesting. A number of activists are still very concerned. The Politics show this weekend has been talking to activists in this region. Many are in agreement, are in favour of this coalition, but they do have concerns.
I've really grown up with quite a detest of the Tories, and no, it doesn't feel good. I'm worried. I'm worried about it. I think we could end up being tainted by being in a coalition with the Tories.
Certainly in the short term, I don't think the Liberal Democrats will do well out of this.
I can't say I'm happy. I think I'm accepting of it rather than happy.
The views of activists, and actually Labour is saying that many disgruntled Liberal Democrats have actually joined the Labour Party this week.
Now, the Speaker, John Bercow, he could be out of a job this week, is that right? Yeah,
this is interesting. Mr Bercow, his seat actually stretches into the far west of our region. He's never been the most popular of speakers, it has to be said. When Parliament goes back on Tuesday, MPs have got to vote on whether they still want him to be Speaker. Normally this is just a formality, but the BBC is already picking up the fact that many Tory MPs are concerned about him and are actually thinking of not voting for him. Indeed, the Bedfordshire MP Nadine Dorries has said tonight she'll definitely vote against him, and she says there are others who'll join her.
Andrew, thank you very much. And if you have a comment to make about this extraordinary week in politics, the Politics show is having a phone-in. If you have a comment to make or if you've got a question to put to the MPs, They want to hear from you on the Politics Show. You can phone 08457 630 630, leave your details and we'll call you back. That's the Politics Show, Sunday at the earlier time of 11 o'clock on BBC One.
Every year in this country, nearly 2,000 people die after using drugs. But very often it's not the drug that kills them, it's their way of life. In Cambridgeshire, police have teamed up with local support workers to give addicts DIY drug kits with advice on how to use drugs safely. This report from Mike Cartwright.
In what looks like a glasses case, a spoon for heating up heroin, instructions showing how to inject, 3 syringes, other drug-taking tools, a kit to be handed to some addicts leaving custody.
It's very, very important that between us and partner agencies we do our best to try to reduce the possibilities of people dying and ultimately sharing used needles which could be infected.
Parkside Police Station in Cambridge will take part in the trial. Here we met Lee, a heroin addict, he says, for more than a decade. He's been held in the custody suites here many times.
I'm a drug user, I'm a safe drug user. I wouldn't just throw a needle down on the floor, or I wouldn't throw anything just down on the floor. I mean, basically, you need to have kits to put things away. But there is people that have HIV, hepatitis, there's people that have lot of diseases. So I mean, that child can fall on a needle, not just a child, anybody can fall on a needle and can contract that disease.
Some drop-in centres for drug users already run needle exchange schemes. This one in Norwich has seen cases of HIV and hepatitis fall.
It's proved to be a remarkably effective mechanism for reducing the incidence of these viruses amongst injecting drug users. When we compare our figures for the number of people infected with countries where needle exchange is not formalised, we find that we have a much reduced incidence of these viruses.
Each kit costs £1.55, funded by a mixture of charity money and our taxes.
This is all about reducing that cycle of activity when it comes to committing crime related to intravenous drug use. We have to stop the cycle somewhere.
Fighting crime related to drugs whilst handing out kits to take drugs will be seen as controversial, say Cambridgeshire Police. But they say if the scheme is successful, other forces could do the same. Mike Cartwright, BBC Look East, Cambridgeshire.
Still to come in the programme, we'll be meeting the students who are celebrating in style.